Hi everybody, welcome to this episode of The Sims 4 Let's Build. Today we're going to be building the Chaden Hall Sanctuary as seen in Oblivion. You know, that Elder Scrolls game? Oh gosh, I had so much fun doing this little build, and this is just the first part of it. Yep, we are just building the outside for right now, and then we'll move on to the inside. So right here, as you can see, it took me a really long time to figure out that there's this kind of little hexagon that sort of sticks out that looks a little bit like a tower. I had a hard time getting the dimensions exactly right, so yeah, that took quite a bit of doing. Overall, I believe this took about 3 hours in total. I'm not quite sure. 3 hours or something like that. I tried to do the second little tower, but I wasn't really satisfied with how that was going, so I ended up doing that one much later. And getting the right kind of roof also took some doing, so the roof didn't end up exactly like the one in Oblivion, but that's okay. That is a-okay. You're allowed a little bit of a creative license, right? The roofs, oh gosh, that's probably what took the most of my time, just getting the roofs right. Eventually, I figured it out and I got it to work, but sometimes things like this, I don't know, and I started off with these half-hipped roofs, but I ended up moving on to just full-hipped roofs because, I don't know, they didn't really blend with the back very well, the roof on the main building there. So I had to redo some things. And yeah, adjusting the roof heights and getting everything all squared away. I really wanted this to look like a sort of cottagey sort of thing that like you would see in that game. I didn't like yeah, just so many adjustments. I didn't like that. It's like, nope, I don't like that. That looks dumb. Front door. Yes, that took a while. Actually, it didn't. It was very quick. Gosh, the things that I spend the most time on in these games, it's usually the roof and the windows and doors. That's like 3 things. Roofs and windows. There we go. That's 2. I can count sometimes. Me trying to figure out the commands here. So many different commands, and I was seeing if like another chimney would look good, but I went with a little wall instead. I figured that kind of blended in better. And I'm doing the wallpaper right now. Roof, why won't you stay down? Don't float, roof. Roof, what are you doing, roof? No, stop. I don't know why I was doing that. I tried, doing this little thingy there instead, but didn't like how it looks. I don't think I get to the second little spire thingy until much later. And, so different windows. I was trying to find one that would work. That also took quite a long time. So I started off with these ones with little shutters. But eventually I changed them, and because I don't know, I wanted to have these metal braces on the outside of them so they look more reinforced. but that didn't look so cool. But it took me a while to figure out what exactly I wanted. Kind of story of my life here. What do I want? What am I doing? Does this make sense? Just scrolling on through. Will this make sense? What is my purpose? Gosh, there were so many choices. Another thing, I wanted to make it kind of look like the windows were boarded up. And I thought there were boarded up windows in this, like, little curtains that looked like they're boarded up. I thought they had that in this game, but apparently not. I think that might have been some other game. I don't know, maybe I'm mistaken, where they have, like, these wood plank wall decorations. I don't know. I really like how this turned out. I think it's a very, very pretty building on the outside. On the inside, it's not supposed to look pretty on the inside. It just looked nice on the outside, despite all the little hardship it had been through. Trying to put in some support beams here so the top of the building isn't just floating in midair. I don't know how architecture works. I don't know how this stuff works. Some of it just don't look right. It needs some kind of support there, if not some kind of beam, something. And another thing that kind of bothered me, and I eventually figured it out, is that little white ledge you can see that's like just under the second story. It just bothered me to no end. But I figured it out. It was actually a bit of trim that I needed, and I didn't put the trim in until much later because I was still trying to get stuff in here. Oh, I found this really nice little fountain. I really like the fountain. Again, it's not an exact replica of the one in Oblivion, but I feel like it's pretty close, or as close as it needs to be. Close enough for me, I guess. Such a nice little house with it looks so inviting. Not really very spooky at all. Okay, maybe a little spooky. A little spooky. It's another big question. What kind of bushes do I put around here? There's a bush that I need. That was what was in the picture. Where do I put this bush though? I don't know. Yeah, there were also these little details on the outside on the picture, so I wanted to make sure I had those. And I put a big old tree in the corner over here. If I can find, later, I guess. I was trying to see if I could put a special tree in there. But alas, nothing just made me happy unless, that tree made me happy though. And I renamed it, finally, Chaidenhall Sanctuary. Oh, the next question was lights. How am I gonna illuminate this place? So, I went with little lanterns. 'Cause why not? Why not little lanterns? Just dotted about, all over the place. Not a whole lot of lighting going on, but, just enough so you don't just, trip over a giant bear trap and die. Another thing that's kind of weird about The Sims is that there are so many things you can build with, but sometimes it feels like there's nothing that'll do it exactly. Like, finding the exact thing is pretty difficult sometimes. So you kind of got to go with approximations. You got to go with close enough. And I kind of thought that these little rock benches would be pretty cool. You know, somewhere to sit and chat and talk about murdering people. Because we all need to sit down and chat and talk about killing people sometimes, don't we? That's important to do with your friends. Yeah. It's like, what, do I put some sticks on the ground? Is it a pile of twigs? Is there any use for a pile of twigs? What about some little plants? Any little plants? Any? And I finally came up with the idea that I would do some death flower bushes. I mean, death flowers kind of have the opposite effect of nightshade. But you might as well give it a try. It's somewhat related. They kind of look like similar plants. Yep, and tried to put a little dirt here and there. Just give it a little bit more interest. And then I put these little corbels, I think is what they're called, around just to make it look like this thing had a little bit more support, because that was kind of bugging me. Just dotting them around, putting them in place. And this was before I found the trim thing, which is that little line you see under the roof over on the lower left. Yeah, that's where you find the house trim. And here's a quick video I made showing the progress so far. But obviously, we aren't done yet. We're almost done, but not yet. Give it a little twirl. Oh, how lovely. And there we go. There's our little twirl. Now it's back to building. Back to figuring out this next little roof section. I kind of like how it turned out. It wasn't nearly as dumb looking as I thought it might be. So that's always a plus when you think, oh gosh, this will never work. And then you try it, and it actually does work. And then you end up pleasantly surprised. I'm amazed at how tiny this room is on the inside. It looks really big from the exterior, but it's really tiny. And it doesn't really help that it's an odd shape. So getting stairs up into there was took some doing. And you don't see that yet. That'll be in next episode, when I do the interior. Some more roofs. Adding the trim. And that little brace thing on the exterior. I really liked that little bit right there that kind of made it look like there was a transition between the, yeah, here's where I figured out the trim. Transition between, what is it called? Well, you know, the rock and the plaster. And there we have it. We're about done here. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!